Hey, this is Tom Nash, and I'm sure as a kid you heard the story about the three little pigs, right? Each pig built his own house to protect himself against a bad wolf. But, the first pig was lazy, so he literally built his house out of straw. I mean, that's pretty much GM and Ford. The second pig, he actually built his house out of sticks. That's VW. And the third pig, he built it out of brick. And eventually he bailed out the other two pigs and he saved them from the big bad wolf because the wolf couldn't penetrate the bricks. Now, in this moral of the story, Tesla is basically the company that built that brick house. And all the other auto manufacturers are literally these lazy pigs. Now look, you can talk all you want about Tesla having not enough superchargers. There's a lot of weight. There's definitely a strain on the system, but nobody else comes close to Tesla. Not in the auto industry, not in the independent providers industry. They have 35,000 chargers around the world, a lot of it in the US. But however, now, according to a Wall Street Journal article, Tesla is actually going to open up the Supercharger network to everybody else. And on the surface, this might sound like a horrible idea. Because if you talk to any Tesla purchaser, they'll tell you that one of the main considerations was the Supercharger network access. That's a moat for Tesla. Giving it up is a bad idea, right? Wrong. Check it out. It's a brilliant move, and I'll explain why. By doing that, Tesla achieves a few things that are pretty much just unbelievably smart. Number one, it's going to have $7.5 billion of access of money to build more of these stations because there's about $7.5 billion of government money that's going to go to states to allow them to fund the building of these infrastructure stations, and Tesla is going to get a big chunk of it. They have the expertise, the know-how, and the ability to build most of it. So I'm assuming a huge chunk out of those $7.5 billion of funding will go to Tesla. And yes, I know some people will, be butthurt that the government is paying for Tesla's infrastructure. Whatever, get over that. It's just smart business. Now, beyond the government funding, which is brilliant in itself, look at it this way. Right now, Tesla's main revenue is cars. 85% come from car sales, and that's okay. But in the future, as FSD, full self-driving, actually launches, there's going to be software as a service income with 80% gross margin. That's going to be about $200 per month per client. That's already starting to get interesting. Now, there's another tier. All of these drivers who will be actually charging at the Tesla Supercharger network will generate revenue for Tesla. So Tesla is literally becoming not just an auto producer, but an infrastructure producer for the entire EV industry in America. Not to mention point number two, once this infrastructure, which is already light years ahead of the competition, becomes even greater, the gap is going to be so wide, no auto manufacturer, especially in their current state, look at Ford and GM with their debt, is not going to venture into building a massive infrastructure like Tesla because it took them years and years to do it. The gap is pretty much too wide. They'll have to concede to the fact that Tesla is now the supplier for everybody else. Now, Tesla basically is literally selling them ink while they hold the printer. That's just genius. Now, the third part is just think about it this way. As much as Tesla does not have a demand problem now, it might have in the future. And having these supercharger network stations open to everybody else is literally free advertising for EV owners about Tesla. Not to mention point number four, massive access to data. All of these drivers, which will be charging at Tesla superchargers, are going to provide even more data to the company that already has vast amounts of data, much bigger than anybody else. Now, there are challenges with this, and I agree. Now, a lot of you may think that it's going to cannibalize the demand for Teslas, right? If I can buy whatever, like a GM electric car, God knows why would I, and I can access the supercharger network, I don't need a Tesla. Wrong, because what Tesla can do literally in a second is just decide they charge 10% more from clients that are not Tesla, right? If they're servicing a non-Tesla client, they're charging 10, 15, 20% more. It's still basically a no-brainer for the user to use that because it's so easy. It's like a gas station. They're everywhere. But as a Tesla client, you get it for 20% less. So that advertising now becomes way more attractive. So in fact, by doing this little simple pricing methodology, kind of price differentiation, you solve this problem. Now, there's a lot of other stuff with this. And I think beyond everything I just mentioned, the main part, I think, might be the data. So much data about charging patterns, consumption behavior, cars, the competitors. You think that Tesla won't learn so much from this and will utilize this data to improve their products and services? So think about it this way. Tesla, as it stands, is operating on margins of about, mid-20%, right? SaaS from full self-driving, 80% gross margin. From this, I'm assuming probably in the 60s, 70s. I don't know how it's going to look like as far as them charging, but the markup I think is going to be insane. Not to mention the fact more demand to add on as Tesla actually ramps up and sells 2-3 million cars a year. It's a no-brainer and another brilliant move by Elon and Tesla. Now, I know a lot of you want to know about Elon and where he put his PP. Just to let you know, there's a Wall Street Journal article that says that Elon put his PP in Sergey Brin's wife, the Google founder, and now they got divorced. Elon says it's complete bullshit, that he's friendly with the guy. He just attended the party with him a few days ago, and he, met the woman a couple times. Obviously, there's no romance, and, it sounds to me that Elon is more right about it. But even if he is and that actually happened, who cares? I mean, it's his personal life. It's two adults, putting their peepees in the same place. Who cares? It's not news to me, at least. But if you want to go read about it, read about it. I'm not going to cover this on my channel because I honestly don't give a damn. See you in the next video.